Like a lot of people, we would get together, like we meet up every week and we would study, we would push each other, and this sense of like very tight community, very tight group.
Being with other people that have that same interest, it gives you permission to be bold.
Yep.
And you kind of echo off each other. I think during those formative years, it probably played a big role, just being around people like that.
Today we talk to Jay Hugh, a character artist in the video game industry, video maker, and instructor. Jay shares his insights and journey into the world of 3D modeling, character design, and the landscape of the game industry. He also reflects on the emotional connection to making digital characters, the balance between art and technical skills, and how you can evoke emotions. Jay seems to be super inspired by filmmaking and the whole future of game development and Unreal Engine. Jay is also a very well-known teacher in the industry, and he shares where the passion and desire to teach comes from. I've been following Jay for a very long time, and I'm stoked to have him on the show. What's up, Jay? Thanks for coming to the show, accepting the invite. So happy that you're here, dude.
Of course, man, dude. Thank you for sending it. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Always love talking, and yeah, obviously been a fan for a long time, so happy to jump on and chat about whatever.
Well, likewise here, been following your works. I think we started pretty much around the same time, back in the 2000s. We're getting old.
Yeah, I know. It's scary to think about. Yeah, I feel like you're one of the OGs, man. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm at that status, but your stuff still has that like sculptural feel. You've been doing stuff. I love that. So yeah, I feel like you're one of those more like classic guys. So yeah, but look, and also tech stuff. Maybe we can talk about it later. But some of the stuff that I remember you posting crazy Unreal Engine. It's always, it feels like on the one hand you're like a clay guy sculpting fundamentals, and I always like really respect those guys. I want to be better at sculpting. And then you have like Mad Doctor stuff where you're like, oh yeah, I was just trying out Unreal, and it's like some insane material network, and I was like, Jesus. And then I remember sometimes you were like, oh yeah, I'm just playing with coding, and it was like you're writing some OpenGL rendering thing on a Mac, and I was like, what the fuck, dude? I was the same guy, so that's really cool.
I appreciate navigating both worlds, I guess. I'm, doing a little bit of everything, and now I'm doing painting, whatever. But let's just shift back to you. I want to know a little bit more how you started, how you got into this whole character art thing.
Yeah, I mean, the basics is, I think a lot, as I get older too, it's crazy how much I owe to my dad, I guess, in this like direction. But I mean, I think the ingredients were, I'm an only child. My parents were older when they had me. They were pretty protective. And my dad was and is a fan of Apple computers. And so he would buy them every few years. And he would give me like his hand-me-downs. And so, as I'm growing up, I don't know if we're the similar age, but, the internet becomes a thing. And so I'm just a kid stuck in his room, and I had these computers, and I loved movies, and I love escapism. I still love that stuff. And so I feel like those kind of, and he showed me, it's cool because like he's, like I say, like an older guy, and I don't think he realized like how like core geek he is. Like he showed me Alien, he showed me Predator, when I'm a kid. Like we watched, he's like, we can watch this radar movie together, and he would show me that stuff, and he would take me to like Frankenstein's. I don't know if you know this, but like trading card stuff. He would collect comic books and stuff. Show me Star Trek. So he really like got me going on all that stuff. And so I feel like I'm a little bit more, I've got an Alien poster behind me right here.
Yeah, right on.
So I feel like I'm a little bit more in tune to those, like, the things that spawned the things we're into today. So yeah, I have an appreciation for that stuff, and special effects, man. I just seeing I still love behind the scenes. And so I would watch VHS tapes all the time, and my Jurassic Park had a little bit of them doing their wizardry, and it's just like, so enamoring. And I remember my dad coming back, or telling the story of watching Jurassic Park, and coming back and getting my mom and taking her to watch it that day again. And he just like gets like a glee about it. I don't know. Anyways, I always think those are probably in the ingredients, right? It's like I had these computers, and it just represented this awesome magical stuff, right? And I still does. I love digital characters. I love VFX. I love games. I love that. Just, I don't know, there's something super cool and fascinating about it still. So I've been kind of on that track. I'm still in my room on a computer now, like 30 something years later, dude. So
Right. Were you like always drawing or interested in arts besides movies and films and that kind of thing, or like comics?
yeah,
Like
yeah, I
doing
was the
art,
kid
like
in school.
consuming art is different than, like making art.
Yeah, I was the kid that in my schools that could draw, and people would say, "Oh yeah, you're a drawer" and all that.
I see.
So when I went to art school, I met a lot of those guys, and it's like, oh, okay, we're all those guys. But yeah, again, I think my parents, they were both artists.
I see. Right on. Okay.
They weren't professionals; they were teachers. They were high school teachers, but they did art. Some of their art was hanging on our walls of our house, and so they just encouraged it. And it wasn't weird, and they never put a stop to it. And so,
right on.
I think that's pretty much all it takes. So they never discouraged me. And then, I think maybe we'll talk about careers and stuff. But that's how I got started on the path I'm on now. Is like in school, I would draw for fun, and sometimes people would say, I still remember people saying like, "Oh, you should work at Disney." Like that was just something you could do, and I was like, "Huh, that's weird." Maybe I like Disney movies. And then anyways, I just kind of meandered around like a lot of guys do, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I wasn't a good student. And I really got the idea to join the military. Seemed exciting. Similar kind of thing probably to this escapism thing. I was just like, you know what? I could just go do this. I can go off on an adventure instead of doing this. I hated school. I hated the idea of jobs and stuff. And anyways, my dad, I think, did not like that idea. And he told me, he took me actually to like Fry's Electronics. And he told me, we're just out like on a, father-son thing. And he's like, you can just pick a school. We've been saving money. You can just pick a college, Your mom and I want you to have a degree. And we don't care what it is. And I was like, okay, well, I'd like to do an art college then. And he's like, yeah, sure. So they never put a stop to it. And so I really, really appreciate that. In hindsight, I work with other people now, and people have all different kinds of stories. And so I do feel lucky in that regard that, I never had to fight for it. They just were like, my dad, it still sticks with me, and it's something that I try to pass on, that there's a weird alchemy about doing what you like doing. So he pretty much preached that the whole time. He actually loved his job of teaching mathematics in high school and college. And he said he enjoyed it, so it didn't feel like work. And he said, you should try to find that. Just if you find whatever you like doing that you'd be happy doing all day. And, eventually you get paid doing it. And that's like a simple alchemy that isn't very specific, but I still live by that. And I think that's true.
That's pretty rad. That's pretty rad. Like, did you have other hobbies other than, consuming art, making art growing up? Like, were you involved in sports or stuff like that?
Yeah, I liked basketball, but I definitely didn't keep up with that. People started to dunk and everything. I was like, holy shit. But yeah, I also sometimes I laugh looking back on it too. That like I guess there's something in me where, there's like people that rebel and they don't want to follow the herd or whatever. I don't know how I got like extreme like that, but when there was a skateboarding craze. And even that was too mainstream for me. I started rollerblading, which was like the niche. That was like that might have been the most niche thing. Like even BMX people, there was more BMX people, right? And I would go to skate parks with my friends, and then people would talk shit. Oh, the bladers are here, and you'd have to be like, "Yeah, fuck you, yeah." And then you like fight over stuff, and then and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do this." So I was like learning. I was doing that and like making skate videos. That's how I got into making videos. Making skate videos with me and my friends. So like we were like the most trying to not do what everybody else did. And I kind of feel like I'm still doing that. So I don't know why that is. It's always been attractive. It's just this, doing something that's not that common or whatever. So
is that how you got into the whole video making thing? Like making skate videos?
Yeah, because again, right, I had Mac computers. And so Macs came with an editing software called iMovie. And my parents, one of the best gifts I got was this Hi8 video camera for one of these birthdays or Christmases or whatever. And so I made like little funny movies. I made little whatever things, and I would edit them and like green screen, like try to do Harry Potter effects and split, And then so skate videos, like I bought like I remember saving and buying a wide angle lens and like Frankensteining it on there, and And
That's
yeah,
funny.
then I would edit them with music and stuff. And just like, people had good reactions about it. They were like, well, this is cool, and this, we try to get better at that. And yeah, I just carried on. My first ever, a bunch of my first YouTube videos, and then my first little kind of course I made it in iMovie. So like I'd been using that for a long time.
That's rad, dude. That's exactly how I got started into this whole industry as
Oh
well.
yeah?
And I know this is about you, but it's funny that you say this because I was skating, I skated for a long time. I wanted to become
Yeah.
a professional, whatever. I was recording me and my friends. I was
Yeah.
editing the videos.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was like VHS to VHS. So I
Oh
had
wow,
two
sick.
VHS.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then I got eventually into the computer. And then I went to film school. Like I went to
Oh,
college for
sick.
film because of the
Oh, to
whole
make the
editing
yeah.
videos of like
Yeah,
me
yeah.
like riding the skate.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with arts or nothing to do
Yeah.
with
No.
like video games or anything like that. That's how I got into this industry. So
That's awesome.
it's pretty funny that you say that.
Yeah.
That's
We probably would have been yelling at each other at the skate park. Get out of there.
yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
I want to get back to the whole movie video maker thing because that's how kind of
Yeah.
you describe that, and I was very, very interested about that too. But so then, like, just kind of sum it up, like where you are right now, and then eventually you finished your degree in arts, I guess,
Yeah.
right? And then
Yeah, I got a bachelor's in game art and design. Which sounds
game
so
art,
funny.
right on. Okay.
Yeah, game art and design. Yeah, but it was from. I went to the Art Institute. It's kind of embarrassing to say. I went to the Art Institute because I thought it was Art Center.
I see.
I'm really bad with names, bro. It's pretty terrible. So I knew about Art Center. I should kind of give some credit to a high school teacher I had. Some people have those stories. I have this story of a teacher that, for whatever reason, went out of their way to mentor me in a way.
Nice.
And it was a drafting teacher. That's technical drawing. So in high school, again, I was like, oh, I suck at school. Here's a class that has something to do with drawing. I was like, okay, I'll do that. Fuck yeah, it'll be a good grade. And so it's very technical drawing. It's blueprints. It's the old way of doing it.
Yeah.
And it helped. And then I just kept taking it year after year. And this teacher, his name is Mr. Atsubo. I don't even remember a lot of teachers, but I remember this guy. And, I was probably annoying and fidgety and all that stuff. And anyways, I think he saw something and he tried to keep me on the right track. And he would like punish me, sometimes separate me from people. But he showed me Rhino, because the more you take it, the more you go up. And eventually I see AutoCAD, I see Rhino, I see 3D, and I'm like, oh shit. And then I still remember him saying, this is Rhino, and the task I did was to do like a loft model of a car, which was weird. But I was like, oh, shit, you're like lofting NURBS together. And then I remember him saying like they used this to make the buildings in that Spider-Man movie, and I was like, what? So yeah, I really became enamored with that. And so anyways, when it came to choosing a college, I was like, I know about this Art Center, dude. I'm gonna go to Art Center. And then I'm so dumb, I got something in the mail, I guess, for some scholarship competition to Art Institute.
Right.
And anyways, so I got a little tiny scholarship. It was like $1,000 or whatever, right? But then like the wheels were in motion, dude, and I was like, all right, I'll just go here. But it worked out.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. That school did later get closed for being a scam. But I did meet a lot of people. Like, I think you might know some of the same people. They're all over the industry. Like, Oakley, who's at Naughty Dog, and
Yeah.
I know people at Riot and all that stuff, Blizzard. So yeah, so not we all, but a core group that met each other, really passionate about this kind of thing. We found our way, and so it worked out. Yeah, it worked out.
That's pretty cool. The group thing, it's interesting. Like, did you like this group, like that you said, like a core group? Were you guys also like studying together? Like, did you guys stay close during maybe not only college, but even after college?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, like AJ Anthony Jones goes by Robot Pencil 2 online. He was Oakley there too, maybe, but. He got me, or he knew of me and recommended me for my first contract job. And then my first big studio job, which was Turtle Rock Studios, I knew Kurt Papstein. He was there. He went to school. Oakley was there.
Right.
We went to school together. And yeah, while we were in college, I'm not going to talk too much smack. There was some good people there, right? But and also the whole rebellious thing. There was this feeling of like, hey, these teachers don't know, dude.
Yeah.
we gotta do this. And so we would go to the computer labs that were open afterwards. And so we had this like little crew that would just hang out and talk shit and like work on our projects and just, you know, daydream about doing cool stuff. And so that helped. I think we helped each other go farther than we would have on our own. And I think that was the biggest thing from college that you can't necessarily get, you know, another way. I think you can get super good information and mentorships. I know you've been doing that too. And so I try to give back in that way too, but that was the one thing. Is it worth $80,000? Questionable.
Right.
But the idea of like, it was the first time in my life that I met, like in like real life, I met people that had the same interests and passions as me. And that was a big deal. It was like, oh shit, it felt like really good to just geek out forever on the same shit. Like they knew everything that I was into, right? It was cool.
I think that is a key component. Like my career had a lot of that too. Like I had a really group, you know, me, Raf Persetti, and like Pichotti, Bruno Mello, like Mariana Steiner. Like a lot of people, we would get together. Like we meet up every week, and we would study, we would push each other. A lot of the people that I've been talking to in this podcast here has very similar stories, and I think it's a very common trend between a lot of people that achieve, you know, like high degrees of expertise or skills or whatever, but like one helping each other. And the sense of like very tight community, very tight group. I think this is very key. It's something that I've been trying to share with, you know, students, people, the folks trying to come into the arts, right, into this industry. That it's really important to form some sort of like small group and share information, like create that tight bond. Yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree. I try to facilitate that too. And I think you probably know from working remote, there's this strange catch-22 about the internet that on the one hand, we're the most connected and we have the most opportunity for communities. And on the other hand, they struggle to be as deep and enriching.
Superficial. Yeah.
And so I think it takes effort on the individual. That's the only thing that I can think of that we can do is like, you know, you gotta be more proactive and like jump on calls, do calls with video at least if you can't meet in person. Try to schedule some in-person meetings. Like, you know, we did Lightbox a while ago. If there's some sort of thing that can get you out there, that can help make these relationships richer. Because like I say, the people I went to school with, I don't know how long it's been. I don't want to think about it, but it's been a long time. And, you know, we still talk. I still was like yesterday was texting the guy I went to school with.
Yeah.
And yeah, Oakley just announced, you know, their team just announced the game they're working on, which is exciting. So, you know, I message him and stuff. So there's just things going on, still in touch. And so, yeah, I think it might just take more effort nowadays. But I completely agree. For whatever reason, it could just be that being with other people that have that same interest, it gives you permission to be bold.
Yep.
And you kind of echo off each other, so you're going more and more, and you're going to spend a lot more time thinking and talking about it than if you're by yourself. Like if no one gets it, you know, and you could fizzle out. But that passion, you're just kind of stoking each other's passion. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so yeah, I think during those formative years, it probably played a big role just being around people like that.
What did bring you into teaching? Because you've been teaching for quite some time now, and I'm actually fascinated by the quality of your students. It's probably, you know, the most. You see like people coming in and they coming out. It's like the jump is so big and the quality of their work is so high. It's very impressive. Like what did bring you into teaching in the first place?
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, man. Yeah, I was super happy with and proud of the achievements that some of the students make. With teaching, you know, I'm trying not to give a long-winded answer. I'll start by saying both my parents were teachers.
Right.
And they liked that job, and I grew up respecting that, and so I didn't take it lightly. So a lot of people have that kind of feeling, an imposter syndrome for like sharing and teaching, right? They're like, who am I? So I definitely felt that, and I didn't want to jump in doing that. It was one of the reasons why I started the YouTube channel, is I was thinking maybe there's a way to give back, because I got a lot from tutorials. Tutorials are really important to me. You know, I kind of put tutorials on a pedestal now. But I learned a lot of different things, like from Photoshop on to my doing tutorials. And there was some famous websites and some famous people that would put out tutorials that I still, so thankful. And so I always thought if I were to get a little bit of skill or information that I could share, I'd want to give back to kind of take part in that sort of community. And so that was one of the impetuses of starting a YouTube channel, is I thought I could do it as a passive thing. Like, I'll share just something useful and try to make content that I would have liked 5 or 10 years prior.
Right.
So that's what I did for a while. And also I knew, maybe from my father, but I just somehow I knew this already to be true. If you teach something, it forces you, it like kind of brings you to another level of understanding it. And so it's a way, like, if you, not to say you hit a ceiling, but like on the path of getting better and more knowledgeable, more skillful, teaching I felt was a natural part, because you get to a place where, and it draws it out of you. You have to illustrate what you're talking about. You have to have concrete ideas. You have to say step 1, 2, 3, and when you're just winging it, sometimes you're not aware of all the things that you're doing. They're just kind of seeped into your subconscious. And so in a way, you kind of have to make those things concrete to be able to communicate to somebody. And so, yeah, so there was like a selfish reason of like, hey, this is going to make me even better. And then the other thing of like, I can give back just like I got from people. And I want to, again, like just be a part of the community and just keep going and make content that I would have liked. 'Cause at the time YouTube was a little bit new feeling. Again, sounds so old, but all the tutorials and stuff I did, they were pictures and you'd read them and stuff, which I'm sure people can't imagine reading now. But yeah, we did that. And so with the idea of videos, one of the big inspirations is Call of Duty commentaries. I loved consuming those at the time. I fell really deep into COD 4 and then Modern Warfare 2. So I lost some years doing that, and I loved that content. And what it eventually became was someone's just recording their gameplay all night, and then they have one really good game, and then they just put the video of that really good game up, and then they just talk over it, and it eventually became, it's not even connected, and I was just like, I could do that with ZBrush. I just record ZBrush and then I'll just talk, and so that was the idea. I was like, if they can do it, I can do it, and so that's why I started YouTube. And then eventually the class that I'm teaching now, that the students you're mentioning are coming out of, that's kind of the culmination of everything, that we talked about. Like, I want to make videos, I want to make tutorials, I want to help people make their best characters. And this was the best way I could think of doing that. And so that's essentially what this class is now, is my best attempt at doing as good of a job as I can at doing that.
No, that's awesome. And by the way, you have a new class coming up soon. Shameless plug, I guess.
Yeah, I do. Thank you. Yeah.
But I also think, like, teaching, for me, like in the beginning of my career, I also started teaching. And I think it also helps you develop different skills, like communication skills. Like you're saying, like you need to explain like your feelings and your thoughts and, all of that. I think that's, that definitely helps. It also helps with just simple things like learning how to write down breakdowns, right? Like learning how to present your work, because you kind of understand what people are seeking, the type of information that they are seeking, right? Like it's like a back and forth thing. So that's very important, and something that I oftentimes see, people missing on the opportunity of even just writing, breakdowns and making offs, that kind of thing. And I also really love the energy of being surrounded by people with that desire, that fire that we had like back in the day. I mean, I still do to some degree, but all of those dreams, I want to do this, I want to do that. And you feel like you can help them out because you've gone through all of this. And it's such a good feeling, right? Like, and once you see them achieving whatever they want to do, it's so rewarding. It's so fulfilling. It's so amazing.
In a different way, and that's it. Is like, it's a deeper. I see it as an extension of the things that I do and I care about, and you get more aspects of it. And it's similar even back in college, geeking out with people. Like, it doesn't feel like work, right? I during my day job, I'm making art for games. At night, maybe I make art for myself, and then when I'm teaching the class, I'm helping them make art, and I'm just talking about this stuff all day, every day, all different all different angles. And I think it just makes each facet better. It makes my art a little bit better. It makes me better at my studio job, like the things you're mentioning. When I'm a lead, or if I have to make documentation, or if I have to talk to outsourcing, I just know I just know stuff. I can say it. I can clearly communicate it. You know, I know what's going on. So I just feel like I'm just more and more plugged in, you know, to making these 3D characters that I care about. So it's fun to talk to people, and it's fun too. You know, most of the time, every now and again, not, and this is where it makes me better too. If someone asks me a question, I go, oh, good question. But oftentimes people will ask me something and I can just tell them, and that's great. And that's the whole point of being able to have like that sort of channel, you know, that is so much better than Google. Like they can literally just ask me and I can just say, this is what you do. And so that feels good because it's like zero effort for me, and I know how much it helped them. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like it saved them hours, and I was like, all I had to do is answer a question. It's super easy.
Right. Anything you like to have studied before? Maybe like in hindsight, right? Like maybe something like, hey, I wish I had done this before, like, or in the beginning of my journey, or, you know, for those who starting out, I guess they could be taking some sort of advice there, or pay attention to this sort of thing, or like.
I mean, just to speak for myself, I don't know if this works as global advice. Maybe, we'll see. But it's like what I told you, man. I think you, Raph, and Bruno all have a fucking... I can see a sculpting foundation, you know? And I'm more of a... where I came from is more like box modeling, sub-D modeling. And ZBrush came out like while I was already in college, which is mind blowing. Whenever I think to myself, like I was planning on working in games without ZBrush. I don't even remember what that's like, which is funny. But yeah, so I think that is still what I try to improve a little bit on now. But that sort of foundation, I think, helps everything, right? Making characters for games, cinematics, design, collectibles. Like it's kind of a more richer understanding and skill set that relates to the modeling, to the actual model. It's not that technical. It's the artistic part of modeling. And I think that's great. And it's not so easy to get, you know, especially later on, without just doing a lot of sculpting, which is what I try and do. So yeah, I think so. But overall, I kind of like what I did was I focused on modeling first. And at the time, texture artists were kind of separate jobs, was our understanding. And so I ignored texturing for years, and then when I got into texturing, I really like it. It's one of my favorite things now, and that took me years to get at that too. Nowadays people kind of have to do everything at once, but I kind of like that, focusing on one and then the other, because they're you know, they each make each other one better, and they're very different, you know, skills and techniques and everything. They're like completely different hats. And so I put sculpting kind of in that modeling category that I think could be even better at modeling. And that opens up jobs too, like animation jobs. Still today, character modelers for animation, they don't do texturing. Modelers for VFX don't typically do texturing. So it's really on the strength of their modeling. And so I think it helps all sorts of 3D character work if you have a strong modeling foundation.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, that makes sense. On the other side, I feel like I lack a lot of the pure modeling skills, you know, like sub-D and all of that stuff too. So I think the grass is always going to be greener on the other side too. No, but that's cool. Yeah, right on. That makes sense. And I think for that, it will be, you know, recommended getting a little bit of clay, or even doing clay-like type of exercises, like when sculpting in ZBrush, for example, like just kind of approaching that maybe less from a production standpoint and more from a, you know, fundamental sort of like sculpture, sort of like roots, you know, that kind of thing. Where do you draw inspirations from? Like you mentioned all of the movies, like music, maybe. Anything else? Like for doing some of these characters, I see a lot of punk into the rebellion, inside showing up. Or what do you listen to? I'm actually curious.
Oh, what do I listen to? You know, I still like new stuff. It's a lot of hip hop stuff. There's this guy Aryan Shah. For some reason, I really like him. I really liked XXX Tentacion. That was kind of crazy. His music. So yeah, there's just some stuff where like you know, I think there's two types of music people. There's people that love the music of their formative years. And then there's people that just always like pop music, you know, that they're just riding that wave for whatever reason. That's the category I feel like I'm in. I look for new music every day. I've got like a new music playlist that just updates every week, and I just try to find gems in there. So a lot of the time I don't even remember their names. I just build playlists full of new music or something. It's just invigorating. I love there's something that happens with like new music where it's just some new young person found a way to say something about a feeling that we all get in a new way. And it just, it just hits me in the feels. I like to feel things. So I don't really have that much nostalgia for music. I like new music.
On the top of feeling things, I've been watching your videos for a long time too. So, and we're looking at your work as well. And there is always this idea of movement and pose and feelings in all of these characters. You see, like these characters, they are not just like, like no expressions on their face. There is always some sort of like trying to provoke some sort of emotions. Is that like truly intentional? Something that you always are like, it's in the back of your head or in the front of your head, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, those early inspirations, are like I say about my dad, right? Going to see, like when people saw Jurassic Park for the first time or Terminator 2, it's not just about a digital character. It's about a character doing some sort of a performance. To me, that's the magic thing. To me, the if I were to boil everything down to one moment, it would be, for me, it would be the Two Towers movie, where I've said this before, so I'm sorry to everyone. But yeah, the Two Towers movie where Golem gives his schizo monologue. I still remember seeing the trailer for the Lord of the Rings movie on TV, and I just had never seen or known anything about it. It was like a new door in real life opened, and I was like, what? And my mom was an English teacher, so she knew about Lord of the Rings, so she got me the book. And then I went and I saw it every Christmas, they came out. I went and saw them in the theaters. So that was kind of like my Star Wars. But when I saw the second one and I saw Golem, it was that, to me, that's the magic, whatever that fucking is, right? Where it's a digital character and they're doing a performance, and I feel empathy. I feel things as if it was a real performance. That I still am fascinated by that. And so in professional jobs, you're playing part in this big collaboration, which is the invigorating part. Is like, you're all striving to achieve something that's bigger than the sum of its parts, right? You're all trying to make this big thing. So for personal art, I don't have that collaboration. And so, I feel like for a while, when I'm practicing, you're just doing these default characters. And I was like, it's less than half, I feel like the whole point of having a character is for them to emote and for you to feel something. And so to me, just posing them is the least I could do. I try and pose them in a way that fits their personality, their whatever they are, whatever they might be feeling or thinking, and I try to evoke emotion in the people that view my work. That's what I hope to achieve when I make things.
Do you choose to do that via 3D models because that's what you know best, or do you also enjoy, maybe I'm like phrasing this in a weird way, but do you also enjoy the technical things? Because like you could be just painting, right? Like you could be just like doing different ways to invoke emotions, but the 3D art, game art in general, all of these beautiful images that we have on screen here, there are a lot of different elements that actually needs to come together, right? Like you need to be thinking about lighting, camera, composition, you need to be painting textures, you need to be doing all of this huge combination of things, and some of them are actually very technical too.
Yeah. I would say, I think with 3D character artists, or 3D artists, let's say, I feel like you have 1 foot in art, 1 foot in technical, and everyone falls a little bit more or less on one side or the other. I'm definitely more on the art side. I'm not a technical person. The way I feel is that I have to do these things to make the thing I want.
I see.
And so I'm just so interested in the final result that it just, it kind of just, it just makes it do it. I'm not doing it for the intrinsic,
I see,
enjoyment of technical stuff.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
But I love getting to a place where I'm so comfortable it's not technical anymore. Then I'm playing around. That feeling of playing around is, you know, that's my favorite thing. And so learning a new thing can be very taxing and grindy. So I try to mix it up and not do that all the time. But it's something I tell people learning ZBrush. It feels so weird to people. I get it. You know, it's sometimes when I hear what I say out loud, I think, wow, that must sound insane to this person. But you can get to a point. I always give the analogy of basketball because I know I play basketball. So sorry for those that don't. This won't translate, but I think it will. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'll do one even better. This is how it is. Everyone gets this. You know, when you're a kid, they teach you how to write letters. You know, there's like these papers with these lines and stuff, and they're like draw an N, and you're just writing an N. Because I have a 4-year-old now, right? She's practicing these things, and you like you trace this. You might forget now because you're older, but you've been practicing letters for a long time. Then you practice words. It's very technical. It's very abstract, learning this thing, and it's annoying. Like, eventually you get to a place where you can have a feeling or a thought, and you can write that down and give it to somebody.
Yeah.
And you're not thinking about all that stuff anymore. It goes from your brain out. And that's where the joy happens in what we do. It takes a while to get there. But when you get there, like when I'm in ZBrush, I'm not thinking about anything. Like my fingers already know what to do. I'm just making stuff. And
freedom.
So you freedom, exactly. You're just playing around. So that's what I like to do. But sometimes I'm also like a big fan of some of this stuff. So like the orc that's on here. And I think the Sauron one, I used Nuke, which is a compositing program that they use in movies. I just think that's cool. I'm like, I want to do that. Like I know how much Nuke has to do with making things. And there's real tangible benefits from it. Like just a basic one is if you render something in Arnold with like depth of field, it could take 10x the amount of time. And if you do depth of field in 2D, it's fast and it's non-destructive. I can change my focus. I can do different things. So that's why Nuke is so valuable. Every big thing. Nuke is like really what makes movies nowadays. And so the fact that I have enough money now on the side for fun, I can buy this. So I feel like I'm an enthusiast. I just want to, you know, do I need it? No, but I think it's fun that I get the same program that they use to make the movies I love watching. And it's interesting to me to understand the basics of it and try to play with it. So that at the root, I just feel like I'm a fan and I'm just getting these things and playing with them because I think it's cool.
That's awesome. And you were asking me, or we were just talking in the beginning about my, you know, very technical stuff, C++ and all of that.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same feeling. Like, I feel like I just want to learn more about these things. I want to understand how they are made. I was building a whole game for OS on Unreal like last year. You know, I built the whole scripting, like everything, you know, like the whole game, like from scratch, literally by myself. You know, it's anyways. So, but just because I wanted to play with it, I didn't want to do anything with it. You know, I just wanted to learn. You know, I just enjoyed the feeling of, you know, playing with these things and okay, that's how they do this. Okay, now I understand. I grew up super interested in magic. You know, like seeing,
cool. Yeah,
like, you know, David Blaine, all of those guys, and I still practice some of those tricks. But just seeing how those things are made is super interesting.
Yeah, dude, that's such a good translation, dude, because same kind of thing is the feeling I had about, you know, Lord of the Rings, Jurassic Park, and Terminator 2. Yes, I enjoyed being an audience member. I still enjoy being an audience member, but I want to look behind the curtain. I do want to know how all the tricks are made. And then I want to make those tricks and watch people go, whoa, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Doing some of these things in 3D too kind of feels like that in a way, right? Like have all of these pieces, start putting everything together, and then eventually starts like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. Like some, you know, cool images start to show up and all of that. So that's pretty rad. How do you keep up with all of these different techniques? Because it feels like every year or every 2 years there's a new software, like a new workflow. Like even honestly in ZBrush, it feels like sometimes I talk to people at work and they have all of these new tools and, you know, like all of these things. I'm like, guys, like I'm still stuck in like ZBrush 3.1, like from 20 years ago. And
Same.
Oh, so you're still the same? Like,
I'm the same.
My approach to that, I'm curious about yours, but my approach is I learn something just enough so I can get by and I can do whatever I want to do. And then I just move on to the other one, right? Like I don't spend a lot of time on things that are not really relevant for me. If I already know a way of making something, like sure, there might be a better way, but I might spend that time doing something else, learning something else, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, same thing. If I'm interested or I think it's cool or I need it for a certain result, then I'll learn that. And also we don't know what we don't know. Like what you said, you know, we were at the Pixelogic event and they were doing things and I was like, I didn't fucking know I could do that. You know? And then I forget about it. And then
Right.
so I end up doing things you know, the old-fashioned way. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm on the new. The newest thing I'm into is Unreal Engine. That's not even that new. I literally was learning Unreal Engine in college, but just it became trendy.
Right.
And so I feel like I lucked out with that. But right now, like as a time, I'm so excited. I mean, like, because I've always been interested in VFX. I'm interested in, as I say, like just, you know, making characters come alive and stories and all that stuff, and real-time art and 3D modeling, yada yada. Nowadays, we're seeing what you can do with your home computer is you know, better and better. And I just feel like we're so close to being able to make like Blur or Blizzard cinematics at home, like one person. Some people are kind of doing that already.
Yeah.
And that's crazy exciting. I love that. And so that's what keeps me going is learning things outside. Now, if I learn things outside my discipline, it's just to make like animations or something in Unreal. And I just feel like Unreal's the future. I feel fine putting all my chips in there. I use it for work, and then you could use it for video, whatever, right? You can use it for anything. And so that's the only one I would say is like new, because that gets updated so much, right? But like Maya's old. I use Blender sometimes now because again, I try to give back to people that want to do this stuff. Like I hope to encourage people that have the same kind of interest to keep going and do it. That's like the basic thing I'd like to do is if someone's interested in this, just encourage them. Yeah, do it just because of that. You know, go ahead and do it and have fun. See what happens. And it became more and more clear, especially on YouTube. Just everyone uses Blender, and so me doing something in Maya, it would be like a barrier to entry. Like people, it wouldn't even be useful to people. And I was like, okay, so that is kind of similar to what you just said. Like, I don't think I need Blender. Like, I can do everything without it. But if I told someone how to do something in Maya, I feel like 80% of the people that are interested, it wouldn't be useful. Right. So I do some stuff in Blender now because it's simple, it's free, you can download it, and there's some things that are good and easy to use, and you don't have to teach. Because Maya is like a dinosaur, bro. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, my last studio I was working for before coming back to Sony. It's called Unknown Worlds. They worked on Subnautica and, you know, some other games. They actually changed the whole pipeline to Blender, and I think
cool, interesting.
Everything, you know, like the whole art pipeline, it was fully Blender, the rigging, characters, and everything.
Cool.
So it was nice to see. Like, I'm not a huge Blender guy myself. Honestly, I try every other year to kind of get into it to learn, but it feels like one of those things that for me is still, I will have to put a lot of time and effort into it, and I just don't have the reasons for now, so I just kind of move on to different things. But no, that's cool. So you touch a little bit on the movie making side of things, and now with Unreal, and I was actually curious if you are maybe working on a movie or something like that, because it almost feels like from hearing your story and all of your interest, it would start to kind of close the whole loop, right? Started making movies and then 3D and this and that, and now everything's becoming very accessible. So
exactly,
are we expecting like a JHill special coming up soon?
I hope so, man. I would say that's the next step. Yeah, I keep looking at it. That's where I want to go for sure. Is like you say, dude, it's a culmination of all the things that I'm interested in.
That's awesome.
And I do think it's the next step. So whenever I have free time to learn something new or try something new, that's what it is figuring out the things I don't know about that and how to do that, to nail down a workflow. And then we'll build from there. But yeah, I mean, I even like downloaded a script writing thing. I was like, oh, let's try writing something. I don't know. So yeah, I have no aspirations of making some kind of feature film. I'll say though, like Love, Death, Robots, and then right now Secret Level that just came out. I love that stuff. That's my jam. I would love to make anything similar, anything in the universe
Right,
you know,
right.
in the same universe as that stuff. And you might be able to relate too, but the Blur cinematics coming up, fuck, dude, that when I was in college, loved that.
Oh yeah.
The Blur stuff, I mean, sorry, the Blizzard stuff.
Yeah,
You
to me
know,
the
like
Blizzard was the biggest one. Like,
yeah, dude, like that, the Space Marine one, dude, was
yeah,
so sick. And then the Lich King, and
yeah, the
yeah,
Lich
I was
King.
like,
Wow, I
bro,
still remember like
yeah,
vividly watching it for the first time. Yeah,
yeah, that stuff. And then, you know, they continued it on with Overwatch and stuff. Super, it was wild the first time I saw the TF2
dude, I was gonna
ones.
say like the Team Fortress
Yeah.
right now. I
The Team
swear,
Fortress
like,
ones were like,
yeah,
I was like, well, I was like, what? And also still today, they still hold up. If anyone has not seen that, that's listening to this,
I know.
go on YouTube and watch every single TF2 short. It's probably on Valve's page, but like, you can see the old animation world's fundamentals put on game art, and it's like it's crazy how if you look at anything else, it's aged. This, it was done in a way, it's still it's an immaculate, it's immaculate. It's still
agree.
done in a way where it's totally fine. You're not missing any kind of like rendering technical thing. There's no fog that you have to look past.
Yeah.
And it's just straight up good storytelling, animation, everything, dude. It's so pro.
I know, because they didn't rely on any of those things, right? Like they actually doubled down on not having or not even tapping on all of those things, right? That's why it holds up pretty well. Because
Yeah.
I still are like, yeah, TF2 was probably the game that I played the most, like growing up, and
Oh yeah, cool.
yeah, it was.
I didn't even play it. I feel bad, but I didn't even play it. But I watch those videos all the time.
That's awesome.
I guess I played it a little bit, but I just get stomped, you know, by the time you get in there.
Where do you wanna like? What do you wanna do next? Like we talked about the film and stuff, right? Like, but
Yeah.
like, where do you see yourself in 5, 10 years right now? If you have any sort of idea. Also, do you like planning these things, or you are one of those that just kind of let things happen?
Yeah, like my first reaction is just to say like I don't know. I'm open to whatever happens. That's kind of been how I got here now is I'm following my interests. I definitely put some goals up there that, and it's kind of what I encourage other people to do. Put some kind of big shining star goal up there just to aim my ship. And then as you go, things change, and you know the world changes, and who knows, man. But yeah, I enjoy working on games. So yeah, I see myself doing that for the foreseeable future, and I like teaching. I see myself doing that, and I like doing my personal work. So I'm just gonna try to keep doing it and try to keep growing. I guess that's the one thing I don't want to do. I don't want to become stagnant. I don't think I will, but even at work, if it becomes stagnant, it's like, what can I do
Right.
to do some different or more stuff? But yeah, I mean, like I say, year after year, the technology gets crazier. Like that's one of the great things about this as a career is it's never boring. You know,
Sure.
it's always changing, and not only new stuff to learn, but new stuff to play with, and so it's fun. So yeah, in general, I just see myself in broad strokes continuing on. But yeah, would love to. I see the next step is like not only creating original characters, but bringing them to life in some way. That's
Right
what I
on.
daydream about.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I can totally see that. Now, on the industry topic, and I know this might be tricky to discuss, or maybe not. Who knows? But I see a lot of people these days saying like the industry's this, the industry's that, the industry's changing, right? Like,
Yeah.
my perspective, to be honest, is, you know, listening to or reading more about the industry as a whole. And there's a really good podcast called Gamecraft. Not sure if you heard about it, but it
Yeah,
really,
you recommended it to me, and I listened to some.
oh yeah. So it really talks about the whole industry as a whole, right? Like, and how
Yeah.
the industry is always changing, and it has been changing since it started. Like the industry
Yeah.
10 years ago was very different, 20 years ago was very different, 5 years ago was very different, right? And I think we are just, you know, it keeps changing. Where
Yeah.
do you see this going? Without going into like layoffs and this and that, because I think
Yeah.
that's, you know,
Yeah.
where do you see the industry? Like, what excites you about the game industry?
I'll start by saying what's easy to say. What excites me is just the technology getting better, more accessible information. The trends that we're on, getting like information's more accessible, technology's more accessible, the tools are more accessible. So we're, it's being more and more democratized. So I like that. I think that's going to lead to really interesting stuff. And then, obviously, predicting the future is silly, right? But just for fun, what I think what I see happening in the game industry is probably similar to what happened to linear media. If we think about movies, what did you have when we were growing up? Handful of studios, tens to $100 million blockbusters. We could all count the directors. There's like 10 directors that make feature films.
Yeah.
And then you get to a point with those people inspired a generation, which we're a part of now. So now it's like 100x the amount of people that want to do this. And then tools get accessible, technology gets accessible. Now you can shoot on film, or now you can shoot digital. You can edit digital. You like everyone knows. There's like 1,000 people that know how to make costumes now. VFX are cheap. Everyone can. So, anyways, now we get crazy shows. We get all these streaming things. Literally now, too many movies and shows to watch. People say, "Have you watched this?" And you're like, "I haven't even heard of it." And they're like, "It's amazing." So right now we're drowning in linear content. So I see that happening. We've seen recently some big AAA game bets. AAA meaning just like $100 million plus games that fail. And that used to be the way you make money. And I think as the industry, the titans there, in this case, it's the handful of game publishers that people know the names of, right? And studios that people know the names of. And a lot of those are big corporations, publicly traded and stuff. So they're going to do what they think makes the most sense to make money. And I think as we see some more of these failures, they might diversify. And at the same time, we're seeing the democratized thing come up. Right now, the Game Awards just happened, and someone that was one of the nominees for Game of the Year was a game made by one person. So I think that's the future. I think also there's the culture of gaming and gamers right now. They're really snubbing the AAA game, right? If you're not coming out with something that feels fresh and genuine, they're really quick to judge you.
Right.
And so it's kind of similar to music. Like when we're coming up, it's like the punk rock thing is like games that are smaller, games that are not trying hard, games that are like, here's a fun game. And people are like, yeah, this is cool. But when you try super hard now as a big corporation and you make $100 million game, and you like cast main actors in it and everything, gamers are going to be hard on you right now. That's the culture. So It seems like to me, the future is a lot more smaller games, and it probably would be similar to what we see with streamers. And what I hope happens is similar to streamers we see with Xbox Live or Game Pass. That's a really cool deal. If the economics of that can work out, I see that being very good for the industry, because there's some games, right? I guess I'll just name one because I feel bad for these guys in a way. But like this might be a super callback to anyone that's not been here forever, because I don't know if this is old, but there's a game called The Order, 1888, I think.
1886.
1886, thank you. Yeah. The Order, 1886. So this game, when it came out, I think most people would say it was the best looking game so far.
1,000%.
It was in the running, bro. And this studio had made mobile
ports, yeah.
Ports, thank you. Yeah. This studio had made mobile ports up until that time. And now what are they doing? They've been saving up their nest egg. They're going to do their dream. They're going to take their swing. New IP, new game, best looking graphics of all time. Here we go. The best they could do is crank out a 6-hour game, something like that. And not a lot of brand new mechanics to gamers. To the people that made the game, they had to figure all this out. So they just got to square one. Gamers are like, I played this before, fuck you.
Yeah.
And so that game got panned, and it didn't do well, and inevitably that studio shut down. Now, I can see the argument as a gamer. I paid $60 for this, Yeah. But if you imagine a world where that game is just, you can just play that game, like you have a monthly fee and that's just on there now, and you play it, and you play it for 6 hours, and you go, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it changes the expectations a little bit.
It changes it. Because that's where we're at right now. People go, hey, have you seen this show? And I go, no, is it good? And they go, yeah, it's pretty good. It's like, whoa, it's just because they have it. And that could really fund, because right now it's you hit home runs or you get lucky.
Right.
We need to find a way to have this how do you have a lot of people make games and everyone's making money and everyone's happy? So I hope they can figure out some sort of subscription model that everyone is feeling good about.
That's a really good take. I never thought about that from that perspective. If you really think about it, you see something that you don't like on Netflix, you're like, yeah, whatever, I didn't like, next one, right?
Yeah, but if you're not offended.
If you go to the theater and then you pay like, I don't know, like how much, big popcorn, right?
Yeah. And you're like, damn it.
That's a really good perspective on that. That makes a lot of sense. The Order, I still look up to those. I work
crazy,
actually
right?
with some of them right now.
Yeah, cool.
And it, I still look up to those models and those characters. It's mind blowing. I remember when it came out, it really set the bar for the whole industry, like visually. So
yeah, it's mind blowing. I mean, dude, you kind of took place in not to lump them in the same category, right? But Callisto Protocol, again, amazing graphical achievement. It makes a lot of sense. Hey, a similar genre to Dead Space, but it's new, it's modern. That we're gonna make the controls for better. We're gonna make the gore better. Makes sense, dude. Yeah. And then it comes out, doesn't meet expectations of the people that are trying to make money, and it's like, okay, well, that's it. And you're like, what? And so I want there to be a world where these things can exist, because eventually they're gonna stop making that, right? And we don't want that, because that's really cool that people are trying to make that really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Just like we don't want people to stop making blockbusters and stuff. We want people to make prestige things. So we need to find a way to make the market work out in their favor.
Yeah, no, right on. And we used to even joke like the next The Order, right? Like stuff like that. Like,
okay,
is that gonna happen to us or anything like that? And it is what it is. I think we did. I'm super proud of the team and everything we did, right?
Definitely.
And there's a certain point that you can't really control other things. So
no, you can't.
But no, it's I feel flattered by the comparison, by the way, because they really set the bar, and I think we were trying to set the bar in our time as well. So
definitely, man. Oh my god, of that genre, the space horror genre, the gore and everything. Yeah, man, it hit it. Yeah.
So I have this thing that I been asking folks to, if you have someone in mind that you like to, put the spotlight on, shed some light. I call it the new rising stars, upcoming artists, right? Like someone that you've been looking recently that have been doing great work. And you sent me a name before, Anna.
Anna, yeah.
Right? Nice. So
cool.
you know Anna, or is it someone?
Yeah, so Anna was so let me get there
she
we
took
go.
your class, I see here. No.
Yeah. So this is how I saw Anna's work. I just thought she crushed it. Really cool to see. And I just think she has the makings of it, you know what I mean? Like if you look at her portfolio, what came before, I mean, I'm not taking any credit. I shared the same info I share with everyone, but there are certain people that they have whatever it is with the detail. They're detail oriented. Mm-hmm. They can sit there and do meticulous work for a long time. They care about the right things. And I think it just all lined up. Like the info she got from the class just helped fill in some blanks. But I feel like the fact that she's already at that level, I think if she keeps doing her thing, this is amazing, I think. Like I was looking at it, I was like, dude, what? Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. That's what I'm saying, right? Like you clearly see the jump here, and really beautiful composed and render, and very, very painterly too, like the composition, the lighting.
Yeah. Does she share the concept here? Because like early on in the class, right, I'm seeing the concepts, I'm giving people advice on it. Yeah, there it is. And this one is one of those where I was like, good luck, dude. Are you sure? Because like one of the things that I say is like, get a concept that's clear, that you don't have to fill in the blank, because now you're taking on more than your job, right? For portfolios specifically. Obviously, if you know what you're doing, go for it. You can do a pencil sketch, obviously. But this one is one of those where I was like, all right, I thought they were going to learn their lesson. Yeah. But then when I see the work she's doing, I'm like, oh my God, she like literally took it to another level. So she knew what she was doing the whole time. And yeah, the fact that this is an Unreal Engine, I feel this is her thing. I feel a tiny bit proud though, because that's what I'm hoping to share with people is like, you can make real-time art, you can present it in a way that's cinematic, that looks good in portfolio. And to me, that's what you want to do if you want to ever get a job or do something more serious with real-time art, is using things like Unreal.
That's beautiful. And yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. That's awesome, and yeah, congrats, Anna, for beautiful work, and for you for showing her the ways. You said you don't play a huge role, but I think you do, right? Like orienting, giving directions. It's very important too, especially in the beginning of their career. So it makes a huge difference. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I do try to share as much info, but I tell the students at the start, I was like, listen, I did do a lot of work to make this class. I kind of went first, right? And then I'm trying to organize info, but like, as you know, it's a lot of work. I tell people up front, I was like, sometimes you take on I've taken online courses, and it's like, yeah, this would be cool. It's all, you feel, it's fun. You feel like you're buying knowledge. It can be very alluring. I pay some money, boom, now I got some stuff. This class is like, you're gonna make a character now. This is gonna be hard now. Now it's your turn. So I'm always super. I just give a lot of respect to any student that finishes the project. I say up front, like, that's your main goal. Can you finish this project? And all the hard work from here on out is you. I'm here to support them. If they have a question, here you go. But definitely, this is a solo sport. As you can't. You do it all yourself. If someone else comes in and takes the pen away, that's kind of a different thing. So you're kind of only playing against yourself, and it's a lot more mental, I think, than people might realize up front. It's not just, I can teach you software, now you do your job. It's not like a step 1, 2, 3, 4. There's these big gaps of creative freedom and problem solving that are completely unique to what you're doing now, that you're off on your own. And so, yeah, it takes a certain kind of person that can just stick with it for 8, 9, 10 weeks, and land it. So yeah, anyone that finishes this project, I think, mission accomplished.
Yeah, that's great. Jay, thanks so much for coming and accepting doing this and talking to me here. It's awesome, and I think people will be very motivated after this talk. So thanks again.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, for sure. It was fun, dude. It flew by. Thank you for inviting me. I love talking about this stuff. So yeah, anytime you want to chat some more, dude, hit me up. Thank you for the invite.
Right on. We'll do.